All right, so you build your GTM motions around personas. So you've got a buyer, journey mapped, messaging tailored for champions, influencers, economic buyers. Now it looks clean, it sounds smart, but that's the part that no one says out loud. Personas, they don't control the deals. The power does. So if your team isn't mapping that, you're not selling, you're just positioning yourself. So let's be clear. This isn't a takedown on personas, okay? They're helpful, they guide messaging, they map the needs, and they shapes the buyer's journey. Now, you've probably built them too. The champion who wants innovation. We have the economic buyer that wants the ROI. We have the evaluator that wants feasibility. And then we have the user who wants simplicity. Now, all this makes the motions feel predictable. But here's the thing. Personas, they're very clean on paper, but power is messy in real life. They describe what someone might care about, but not what someone can actually do. And that difference kills otherwise the winnable deals. So let me give you something real. I've seen 6-figure deal that goes nowhere where the person who killed it was never on a single call, never replied an email, never did ask questions, nor if any objections is being raised. What he or she did was just block the legal from signing because they didn't want ops team dealing with any change request. Now the A in that account didn't even know the name, and that's what kills the deal. It is not a bad discovery. It is not a poor persona work. It simply is unmapped power, and this is where most teams get exposed. Now persona mapping gives you champion, the influencers, the economic buyer, and the user. Now, this is great for sequencing content, aligning messaging, and creating a CRM structure. But it assumes that everyone wants the deal closed. Now, I compare that to a power map, right? Who's protecting the turf? Who's quietly resisting it? Now, who can veto without speaking? And who wins if this thing fails? Now, I call this layer the shadow stack. Now, these invisible players with influence is what your CRM will never show. So if you're not mapping shadow stack, you're not forecasting, you're just hoping. So why don't most teams do this? Well, my answer to that is it's messy, it's judgment-based, and it doesn't fit neatly to any systems. Now, power mapping, you can't templatize it. It is it's so nuanced, it's a body language, it's a side comments or a silence. But if your GTM ignores status threats, the unvoiced blockers, the quiet internal rivals, then your deal motion isn't strategic at all. It is fragile. And so how to fix this? We keep the personas, but we don't stop there. We train the reps to ask who benefits if this doesn't go through and who hasn't said a word but has the internal pull. Track the silence, not the engagement. Layer political friction in deal reviews because real GTM doesn't just move. It survives the impact, and the impact always comes from power, not the profile. Now, this isn't an anti-persona thing. Now, they matter, but don't confuse a persona with control. The person you think is the buyer might be getting looked at behind a closed door, and if you're not tracking the shadow stack, you're not doing the GTM, you're just running the campaign. So if your deal died in silence, it's not because you missed the persona. It's because you never mapped the power. And in the next video, we'll break down the silo problem that's killing your forecast stack. So this is the sales rebel, no fluff, no theater, just mechanics that no one else is brave enough to say out loud. So hit subscribe and let's get going.